Welcome back to Straight Facts on Wednesday. I'm joined by Judge Mo, Husam. There's loads to talk about today. Arsenal's transfer links, Duran, Cunha, is a bid gonna come? Man United deemed by some as the favourites for young Tel from Bayern Munich. We're going to talk some transfers. We're going to be reviewing the Champions League games ahead tonight. A dead rubber for Liverpool, but a massive night for Manchester City. Also a big night for Arsenal as well. They don't want to slip into the knockout, into the playoffs. They shouldn't. They're in a comfortable position. A big night for Aston Villa. Previews for that on the way as well. But gentlemen, how are you both? You well and good?
You know, as Terry was doing that introduction, in my mind, it's just playing, damn, it feels good to be a gangster. It's crazy. He just said, Liverpool last game is at that rubber. I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm guaranteed through first, worst case scenario, second out of 32 teams. You know, go to PSV today. We didn't send any of the big boys. They're all at home, chilling, drinking tea or drinking, coffee, whatever it is. Other drinks.
Yet you have no chest.
And enjoying it. More.
Yeah.
Relax. Told you 100
Bro,
times.
he does this all these.
100 times. When I speak in the intro, don't interrupt.
Your intro is done. It's over.
I'm the OG of Straight Facts. Sit your ass down.
You're the
Sit your ass
youngest.
down. I'm the OG of this shit. I'm the OG. I'm one of the original crew members. You fraud. Sit your ass down. Big up everyone in the chat. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. And we're here. I actually look forward to this show because I enjoy it so much. So like and subscribe, you bunch of frauds in the chat. Like the video now.
Yeah, let's get to 1,000 likes, guys. Guys, if you're watching this, there's number one. There's a lot of you guys that watch this in the replay. Like the video, guys. Like the video before you go on and enjoy the show. Like the video. We're all good. We're all well. It's going to be a great show. You guys are going to enjoy it, entertain. And just let us know what you guys think in the comments because I'm just intrigued. This is going to be an interesting one.
It certainly is. I wanted to start with some interesting news. Paul O'Keefe, who is very well connected at Tottenham, has stated in the last hour or so that the Bayern Munich attacker, and again, depending on who you talk to, some say he's a wide player, some say he's a striker. We'll get into that in more detail. The young attacker Tel, who has been linked with an exit, has now decided he wants to leave Bayern Munich. Chelsea, of course, have been linked. The reports in Germany say he doesn't want to go to Chelsea. He feels there's too much competition ahead of him. Spurs are interested. There's some links from the Independent this afternoon to Arsenal. But Paul O'Keefe has said that the player wants to join Manchester United. Before we get on to whether or not you think who he's going to join, how good is this young man? And do you think it would be the right type of move for a Man United, for an Arsenal, to go for him at this particular juncture?
This move is quite interesting because actually, I'll take it a step further. Tel has actually been linked to everyone, including my club, including quite literally. If you just open new tab and write Tel Liverpool, Tel City, Tel whoever, you will find the link because this whole conversation regarding him leaving Bayern has been obviously been going on for a while now. This is not a new thing. He's been thinking about it. He's the same guy that scored a goal as well, I think, against Man United in the Champions League.
Yes.
Was it
Yes.
a year ago? Yeah, it was a year ago in the group stages. He was the guy that scored the winner at the end after Bruno scored one, I think it was. So he's the guy that got it. And at the end of the day, listen, I'm just going to be completely honest here and objective. Obviously, I am not a Bundesliga fan or a viewer of the Bundesliga. So anytime when we have a chance to watch something, maybe in the Champions League or a game here and there, if it's on in the background or something, he's versatile as a forward, which I think is something that's very intriguing to the people. He's very as in the clubs looking at him, very physical, quite tall as well, he's 6 foot and he's very fast. So from a pace and power perspective, he will not struggle in the Premier League at all, So on the counter attack, he'll be very good. And I think he suits all clubs. He suits Chelsea on the left-hand side. He suits Arsenal on the left-hand side. He literally suits every single club. He suits Liverpool. There is no club that wouldn't benefit from having him. However, I will say he's too young still. Meaning, what you're buying is potential. There might be some form of short-term impact, of course. I'm not saying he's not going to make an impact at all. I'm saying, let's say he joins whoever. In these next 6 months, he could get you let's say 8 goals and 7 assists, 8 goals and 6 assists. So he will have some form of an impact, but you're buying for the future because he's still quite young. He's born in 2005, so he's just 20 years old. So he's quite young. And he has a lot of development still left to go, to be honest with you. But he's a very talented player, very good player. and he's quite versatile, which I think should be interesting. I actually think if Man United do get him, I have an unpopular opinion. I think you're looking at playing him like in that like left-hand side 10 thing that Amorim does, like just right behind the strikers. I think that's where
Potentially,
you're playing him, to be honest with you. That's the position that makes sense. In terms of Spurs, listen, I'm going to just go ahead and say this. Look, whether it's Tel, whether it's any young player with a future, whatever it is, I'm not even trying to be condescending. Genuinely, you have to stay away from that club. If you go to Spurs, you have genuinely buried your career like no other. And it pains me to say, because there are some Spurs players that are like, you know, quite likable, like a Son as an example. It's so sad to see that Son is gonna have a whole career without a single trophy just because he played for that football club. Like, you know, Liverpool are long-term admirers of Son. We could have signed him, I think 4 years ago we tried as well. So, you know, if he goes to Spurs, he's just buried his career, to be honest with you. So I think Man United is probably a good choice at the start of the rebuild, because he has time to develop and make mistakes and maybe score for 3 games in a row and then not score for 3 games in a row, and it's not a disaster type thing. So yeah, I think he has.
We know when yesterday in the group, the Street Facts group was Don, Lolis, and all these guys, and KJ, and
yeah.
so yesterday, someone said that he rejected Chelsea, and once KJ sent us the tweet that he preferred that Man United are leading the race, all I can think of for everyone in the chat is like, why would the player? Is there something that we don't know? Why would the player choose Man United over Chelsea at this current moment? And I'm like, I keep trying to see a reason why behind it. And I'm like, it's the only reason. I'm being serious. And forget big club, Terry. Why are you laughing, bro? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
We're Man United. We're the biggest club in the world.
Can you let me at least? Don't throw me off. Don't throw me off.
Sorry. I'll speak in a minute.
Stop.
It's funny what you're saying.
Yes, please. And all
That
I can
is laughing at the idea of Don sat there just thinking that United.
Because Don literally started defending. You see, where did he reject Chelsea? Until I think Giuseppe or somebody sent him the tweet that he rejected Chelsea. And the only thing I can think of is that when you sit with a player, everyone knows that people sit with players. They send people to sit with the player, convince them of project. Like, what we don't know about Chelsea probably, has he seen what Chelsea are doing, signing young players and flipping them for profit? And he's like, no, I'm going to join Man United. Maybe Amorim presented me a good path. Maybe Amorim presented me a good project going forward.
I'll be honest with you.
Maybe he presented me something that you're going to be one of the people that we rely on.
About them selling the youngster after like a year. And stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Look at like the flip for profit thing that is happening at Chelsea. And I'm like, Man United, are we talking today? Chelsea are 6, Man United are 12. Are we talking today about Man United being a more stable crop for youngsters than Chelsea? It's the only explanation why a player. I have no other explanation than Manchester.
I can give you another realistic explanation from the other side.
Because let me put the context in for the people in the chat, not for you, because I know that you guys, both of you know this. Because looking at today, Chelsea are closer to winning titles than Man United. That's just a fact.
Of course.
That's a fact. Nobody can deny that. Chelsea have a more ready team to win trophies. Chelsea maybe need, as Husam mentioned many times, 2 or 3 people to be competitive to challenge for the Premier League next season. But Man United need a rebuild. But unless Chelsea cannot sell the projects anymore, cannot convince a 20 years old from Bayern Munich, a French international, to join their club, there is something hidden there that Man United has above Chelsea, and it's stability. Even though we all agree maybe Chelsea have a better team, Man United are a more stable club at the current moment, which is I don't like Man United. That's a reality.
Yeah. Can I just say on this as well, right? I laugh because you said I couldn't think of a reason. And again, what I love about you is that if people give you reasons that you don't like, you don't often see them as credible, but that's a by the by. With Chelsea, it's a number of things. What I loved, I was reading the group chat, I was in the gym, and I was watching, I saw like KJ and Co. I think this may have been in the other the content creator, the other Football Terrace group chat. But they were stating, look, there are 2 or 3 separate reports from Germany that Mathys Tel doesn't want to go to Chelsea. One doesn't give you a reason. The other 2 allude to the fact that he thinks there's too much competition ahead of him. And maybe what Chelsea's representatives have said is that you'll be behind Jackson or behind Sancho and Neto, and you've got to fight your way through. Maybe Man United have said, we will make you a first-team starter from day one. So that makes sense. But what I loved about the group chat was even though the group were all saying, no, of course Chelsea can change his mind, but just right now it looks like he's rejected them. That wasn't being listened to by Don and Ches. They were just like, well, why are you saying we can't get him? No one said you can't get him. They're just saying that right now he's saying no. And what I also loved is they've painted this picture that you give an example. It weren't even that long ago that Chelsea fans like Don were arguing that there was more to the game of Mihajlo Mudryk than Martinelli. Okay. So based on that, right, they were also saying, well, because Arsenal linked to him, well, how's he going to get into the Arsenal team? Why would he go for them and not go for us? How's he going to get in the Arsenal team if he can't get into our team? Well, I thought your attackers were better than Arsenal's. And this is where people's arguments come to like a bit of a crossroads. Yeah. So
just contradicted yourself, you know.
You have a better attack than Arsenal, but you can't see why a player like Tel thinks he can get into their team easier. Well, that means one of two things aren't true here. For Man United, look, I like the young lad. He's a really talented player, got great athleticism, got good speed, good close control, decent finisher. I would say the one thing, I was looking at some stuff of him yesterday, reading some scouting reports, shots from outside the box and distance, not particularly great. I wouldn't say he's a brilliant dribbler from deep, but he's very good when he gets into that sort of in and around the final third and he's kind of running in diagonally at the goal. I also think he wants to be more central, and that's why I feel that he could be a very good fit for Amorim's system. We haven't seen Amorim's system in full flow yet because we don't have fullbacks who can consistently bomb up and down the wing, who can be defenders when we're defending and can be full-on attackers when we're attacking. What that will mean when we get the fullbacks that do that is that the 10s that split won't have to hug the touchline as much. They will tuck into more central roles. And I think that's where you might see someone like Tel come alive. So I'm excited by the idea, but he's also a youngster. So the same as young Patrick Dorgu, I'm not looking at either of these players as our savior, our new hero, the new main man at Manchester United. For me, that is crazy talk. And I know a lot of people want more experience, and I want more experience at the club. However, and I'll make sure I word this in the right way, January isn't the summer. And I still think we're going to go in big for Utd in the summer as an example. So having a young player like Tel come in now, and then in the summer, somebody like Utd coming in as an example, and then you see one of or both of our current strikers leave, I'm not against that. So I'm not going to get too hepped up on, we're not getting exactly what we need, number one priority straight away in January. That's so typical for the situation that we're in. But I hope we get him. I hope the news from Paul O'Keefe is true. I think it would give us him and young Patrick, what that would give us that we lack so much of right now is real electrifying and scary pace. And we miss that in this team. Does it fix us? Does it make us able to be one of the best teams in the Prem? Absolutely not. Are they our heroes at the age that they're coming in at? Absolutely not. United fans have got to temper their expectations there. But I look at both signings and there's good technique, good power, good athleticism, good acceleration, massive things that our team missed. So
Amorim said even in the Fulham game, after the Fulham game in the press conference, what did he say? He said, I needed some pace, like on the counter-attack. You know, he said, I needed some physicality, some pace, you know, an outlet. And I think it would help just purely from a physical perspective. It helps Man United out. I mean, you can't just let Diallo do all like the physical pace stuff all the time because Højlund can't hold up the ball. Xerxes, I think, mows faster than him. So it's just not, it makes no sense. You need help.
So when you review, again, I'm not a tactico, so I don't study managers' tactics before. Like, I wouldn't have been studying Amorim a year ago, watching what he was doing.
I thought you do your research.
I do research, but I'm not a tactico. So okay, I would never profess to be a tactical expert. All right. Yeah, I know, right? I'm playing into the joke. Let me finish. Like, I would never profess to be a tactical expert because I read or watch some scouting reports, but I have a good idea. And I've watched 2 or 3 in the last few days because they're talking about what Patrick Dorgu can bring us. And essentially they're explaining that Delow's fine, Maz is fine, Ahmad's okay, but none of them are the specialists in that role that are needed. And a lot of the specialism that's needed is the physicality to essentially run up and down the touchline all day. And I wasn't even overly aware of this because, again, I don't profess to be a tactical expert on any particular manager's style. Currently, the way Amorim plays, a lot of people in Portugal, I was reading in the last 24, 48 hours, state that his fullbacks are actually the most important component of his system. So Yeah, look, I mean, and the reason what they really need is power, pace, speed, stamina on top of good technical ability. So, look, I'm intrigued to see how these work out. I'm not getting ahead of myself. One of them isn't even here yet. There's not even a here we go. But if we pull them both off, I'm excited. But I'm grounded in that excitement, if that makes sense. So, and we'll see how it
finally,
comes.
I'm a Man United fan that can say that. Oh my God, the excitement about Dorgu, a Serie B player from Lecce that just gets, he's a young 19 years old. At least you're realistic, bro. Man United fans in the chat. Oh my God, Terry said it. Don't be that excited. He
Serie
shouldn't be
A.
the guy to bring it in.
He's in Serie A, right? They're in the top league, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
They
cool.
are. They are.
Yeah.
He was in
my
Serie B
point-
last season, right?
Yeah, my point about this is that when I watched this Dorgu thing, I'm like, what happened to Man United? Who's this guy that they're paying 30 million pounds for him or 25 million pound plus? I was looking for Man United to fill the hole with someone better. And then Terry explained it and said, oh yeah, in the summer, we'll get the left wing back that will start and this guy will be the understudy. Now I can be behind the signing. But before that, I'm like, he's the 19 years old, bro. Like, this is 19-year-old.
No, I
When
agree.
did Man United went to the Man United used to sign the superstar, and every time we talk about Man
I will
United,
tell you this, Mo, though, to be honest.
let me finish that next point.
Robertson got relegated with Hull City, Liverpool bottom for 3
Someone
million.
commented on that on my video, and I said, which is the same. We analyze signings at the time they happen, not in hindsight. At that time,
So you would have said the same thing about Robertson.
100%. I would say the same thing about my club, my man. If it's an underwhelming signing for Man United, if this is the guy that is coming in, I'm not saying it's not gonna work. The guy is raw. He has pace, he has power and everything. But I lived through the time where Man United signed the superstars, signed the big names. And the problem
Can I
is,
tell you why you're wrong?
hold on. Let me say the next one. You'll see where I'm going with this.
He's
Let me
so
see.
ratchet.
Let me. I'm not
I
ratted
have
at all.
him
The people are.
already where I want him. He's in the
Yeah,
corner.
Habibi,
Go
let me finish the next point.
ahead. He's so
The
mad.
problem is, every time we say that, Man United fans, but we are a big club. We signed Pogba when we had no this. We signed Zlatan when we had no this. We signed this guy when we had no this.
Yeah, but I need to ask Mo a question quickly before I go to you.
Yes.
I want to understand something. So when you say Man United always sign the big players, in our successful era in our lifetime, which was Fergie's, who were these big players in your opinion that we were signing all the time? Who were they? Who are the names?
Oh, you definitely signed big players in the Fergie era. Come on.
Okay. No, I'm
Carrick from Spurs. I'm gonna give you examples as far as I remember. Okay,
Yes.
Carrick, I think Spurs. Rio Ferdinand was one of the best defenders in the world.
Berbatov,
Was
Juan Sebastian
remember Wayne Rooney was the big name in Everton. He was the next upcoming star
Diego
at
Forlan.
that time. Who was it? Lewis Zaha?
Luis Zaha was at Spurs or Everton, I think.
Yeah, was something like this. Was the big name. Berbatov was
Robin
great.
Van
At,
Persie.
you signed Robin Van Persie. My point, even after that era, Terry, you went and signed Di Maria from Real Madrid. You went and signed. You got. You get my point. You get my point. And not every player, but these are the ones I'm talking about.
But the reason why, and this is, I wanted to understand who you considered to be those
Van
players.
Nistelrooy as well. He was the top scorer in the individual.
Let me respond now. I'm not challenging your answer. I just wanted to understand who you consider to be those players. What I would say is, and this isn't.
Can I challenge his logic, please? Actually,
Hang on. We'll come back to his logic in a minute. I want to explain something
Oh my
about
God,
Man
everyone
United.
wants to challenge more. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not even challenging Mo. I'm not. I'm trying to explain some logic so you both understand Man United a little bit better. I agree with the names you've mentioned as marquee signings in the Fergie era. And the reason I want to use the Fergie era is because we had success in that time, which is why this point I'm about to make holds water. Man United fans have got to understand that not every signing is a marquee signing, and it doesn't always happen in the order in which you want. Because when you look at all those signings that were made, in that same period, we brought in Patrice Evra and Vidic. We brought in Park Ji-sung as an example. Those guys were not considered marquee signings when they came in. A lot of the time, they were, who the fuck are these signings? As an example.
I know you give examples, but this guy's okay. I'll continue. He was a finalist in the Champions League.
But you're not again. But listen, I was living in Manchester at the time. I was at games, and it was a who the fuck is he signing? It wasn't football ain't like it is now, where everyone's on PlayStation, everyone's online. These players were signed, and nobody. It wasn't like everyone in the ground was saying, you know what, we've got to go and get that amazing left back from that other Premier League team. He wasn't a player that the world was saying. He was a good signing, but he was a player that was still relatively unknown. We signed Rooney that season. Yeah, we absolutely did. But we also went and bought Gabriel Hines. Again, a very good player. He was at PSG. But nobody was going, That's the man that's going to make us a better football team. You can go back and look at Ronnie Johnson. You can go and look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You can look at Javier Hernandez. Now, within that group, again, everyone in Mexico knew who Javier Hernandez was. Maybe if it was today, not 2010, and it was 2025, we'd all be a bit more aware of him because of social media. But this is what I would say to Man United fans. Yes, we've gone through, in the Fergie era, we signed big players or really young players that the world was hyping up. Ronaldo, Rooney, as you mentioned. But we also signed a lot of other players that were well-known. So Tel would be someone that is well-known, but maybe doesn't have the biggest hype around him. And we signed loads of players like Dorgu, who we all went, oh, I don't really know who he is. I don't know much about him. And he works out well for us. Now, that's not a guarantee these signings will happen. I'm just saying to Man United fans, stop being so hung up on every single signing having to be the marquee final piece of the jigsaw. Why are we buying youngsters and not more experienced people? It's going to take 3 or 4 summer transfer windows to build this squad. Okay, we haven't even had one yet under Ruben Amorim. Stay calm.
How much are you paying for Dorgu?
Calm. Dorgu
25 million pounds plus
25 million
five.
pounds, yeah.
Plus 5 add-ons, which is very, it's not going to happen. The add-ons is like making champions.
Yeah, I was told by a journalist yesterday that add-ons are if we win a major trophy in the next 3 years, so Premier League or Champions League, or if we qualify for the Champions League in the next 2 years, they get 2.5 million. If we win a trophy, that one of the big ones in the next 3 years, they get another 2.5 million. So essentially, we're paying 25 million pound for him.
That's 35.
To be honest,
yes. Okay, let me tell Mo why he's wrong. I think.
What did I say first that is wrong? What does it mean?
Stop shouting. You've been shouting for 21 minutes. It's time for the calm presence. You know, there's football people on the stream, which is me.
Oh my god.
Anyway, guys, let me speak. When it comes to Mo's law, I'll tell you why Mo's 100% correct. 100% wrong. Man United have spent post Fergie 12 years doing exactly what you said and have got nowhere. I think they need to change their approach completely. I think they need more Dorgus. I think they need more Mathys Tels. They need more people who are gems who you could sign for 20, 30 million, who are capable of taking you to that level. They need to do what Liverpool did. Because guess what? Liverpool, when Jurgen Klopp first walked in, we also signed a bunch of gems. We signed Andy Robertson. You know, we signed, it was before Klopp, to be fair, but we signed Joe Gomez from Charlton. You know, we signed Konate from Leipzig. Now everyone's like, wow, Konate is unbelievable. Yeah, well, at the time, he was like, oh, Upamecano is better, by the way. That's what people used to say. I'm saying back in the time. You know, we signed Henderson from Sunderland. You know, we signed Wijnaldum from relegated Newcastle, Robertson from relegated Hull, you know, Firmino from Hoffenheim, Salah from Roma, Mane from Southampton, and you build all of these guys together and you end up having a team that can challenge and that can get to that level. And here's the thing that I want to say. The thing that you're talking about signing superstars. Okay, you mentioned the successful ones, but let's just look post-Fergie era. Purely post-Fergie. Di Maria, Falcao, Pogba, Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez. If I look at all the big name signings Man United made in the last 12 years since Ferguson left, I cannot hand on heart say any of them was like 100% a success and he killed it and he was amazing. Not a single one of them was like, wow, he really changed United's life. When they were first signed at the time, they're like, what? These guys are unbelievable. But right now, because we obviously now we have hindsight and we know what's happened for the last 12 years, we're like, oh, maybe Man United just signed these superstars without really trying to figure it out. Because we can sit up here and go like, okay, so let's say Man United sign, I don't know, who's a superstar right now? Like, I don't know, Osimhen and Chouameni, blah, blah, blah. Whoever it is, let's say they sign 2 amazing players, okay? And then Man United finish 6th next season, maybe win like a Europa League or a Conference League. We're all going to be sat here going like, haha, Man United, you signed Chouameni and Osimhen for nothing. So they have to build it in a different style. And what Terry said about Man United fans is correct. Man United fans must accept this. Before even we comment on it, you must accept it as a fan. Your club now is rotten and it needs a rebuild from every single position, from every single step. It needs a genuine, like when people use the word rebuild, they use it lightly. But Man United genuinely need a rebuild because, you know, I was doing a show even with Flawless yesterday. It's like you could genuinely get like 20 new players for Man United, sell 20, and no one would go like, wow, that's so unfair, because that's how many players they need sold. So when you look at Man United right now, they need these gems. They need these players who cost 20 million, but after 2 years of good performances, they cost 60, they cost 65, they cost 70. You know, it's good for them to sign these quality players that, okay, you go look at Lecce, you know, they have this left back. He's not amazing, but you look at his potential. This guy has all it takes. He's quick. He's fast. He can cross a ball, blah, blah, blah. You get him in. He plays, 15 good games for Man United. All of a sudden, Dorgu's the best left back in the world.
And this is the thing, right? Where you get people that will say poor mentality. But this is people that are from a generation of spoilt football fans who maybe only started supporting their football club when they were already successful. And they don't know much about the history of their football club. When Sir Alex Ferguson came in, and the story is the same, the money is just different. When he was signing Steve Bruce from Norwich, as an example, when he was bringing in Lee Sharp from Torquay in the late 80s, the irony is those players were brilliant for us and helped us go on to win domestic trophies, have European success in a big European competition, and then go on to win the league, go on and do our first double, and go on and do they're integral to building that went on to be the first team ever to do the double-double. So when people say poor mentality, no one can guarantee this first signing, and we haven't even got Tel yet. We might not even get him. No one can guarantee they're going to be a success. But the idea that if you're not signing players that have got hype around them, it's a poor mentality, that is just ridiculous talk for where Man United are right now. I think and what will happen as well, by the way, the same people saying poor mentality. If we were going out and signing 2 superstars right now, you would get, they're only there for the money. You're buying mercenaries. It's bad for your club. So this is where Man United fans have got to develop a backbone and thick skin. They've got to research and understand where we are and look at every club that's pulled itself out of this mess. Go back and research what we had to do in the mid to late 80s to get out of the mess we were in. Go and look at all the other clubs that have spent long periods of time dead, how long it takes to rebuild, and go and see how they did it. And people talk about, Roman came in and spent all that money. Chelsea were a Champions League winning team that had been in league title races for many years prior to his arrival and had been winning domestic trophies. They weren't a trash team that Roman just came. They weren't a team that had fallen from grace and barely challenged, been nowhere for the best part of a decade or two, that was in the doldrums that he just came into and took over and suddenly made brilliant overnight. There's a fundamental... They had financial problems, there's no doubt. Plus, that era was different. He could spend unlimited money. I was listening to a conversation yesterday about Man United's money problems. United fans call in. So Jim should pay the debt off. They can't. 1, it doesn't help you spend it on players because of PSR. 2, the Glazers won't let him pay the debt off. Because if he puts in 300 million to pay the debt down, it means the Glazers would have to surrender a bigger percentage of the club they own. And they don't want to do it yet. So his hands are tied because he doesn't own the business, right? He owns 29%. So there are things that he's curtailed from doing. But the problem is nobody ever wants to do their research. They never want to understand what's going on. So it's not as though we can just go out and spend £500 million because we've got a billionaire owner. That would have been different if this happened in 2004. And this is what annoys me about people talk about standards. They ignore the reality of the situation. They ignore the history of other clubs getting themselves out of these kind of holes. That doesn't mean you have to agree with every decision. Doesn't mean you can't criticize the signing. But what it does mean is that you should be a little bit more open-minded. And Man United,
you want to know why this is funny coming from him? Isn't City doing the same exact thing? Kusanov, Marmoush, Andrea Cambiaso, Ederson. You're literally doing the Dorgu and Tel yourself, but it's just different players. Are you going to tell me Cambiaso is proven or Kusanov is proven?
This is the thing, right? Man United did, and this is from King. We spent 200 million euros in the summer. We are going to spend money still. I don't think we work out. We're not as broke as people say we are. And in fairness, I still look at that as you know, I think Euro is going to be good. I'm loving what Ugarte is doing. I think for 30 odd million pounds, I think Delit's done a good job. Maz at 15 million euros has been the only one that you would look at and say has been underwhelming, Xerxes. So I trust what they're doing. Like, I look at our summer signings. I'm very happy with Ugarte, happy with Euro, love what Maz is doing, happy with Delit. The jury's out on Xerxes. So I look at that success rate and I think, well, I trust these two they're looking to bring in as well. But you're absolutely right. No one's questioning a player being brought from South America for 30 million because City are doing it. Man United are buying one from Europe.
They're doing the
it's
same
terrible. Yeah, that's why I'm relaxed about the whole thing. You know,
thing. Yeah, that's
they'll
why
be signing.
the City fan mentioning standards, it makes no sense. Your club's doing the same thing, by the way. Marmoush has only had 6 good months at Frankfurt. It's not like he's been killing it the whole time. He's only had 6 good months. Kusanov is a young centre-back from the French league. The guy that you're sizing from Valladolid, the Ba guy, he's 18 years old. He's
There we go.
18. He doesn't even have a sample size. So
Sean here says Euro has been awful. He had one bad game, and we all know he got cooked, and he's a young player, and it happens. This isn't a dig, Husam, so please don't get defensive. Let's go back and look at the best centre-back in the world at 18, 19. Look how many times he got cooked and chewed up in games. That wasn't because Van Dijk was a bad player. He was young and he was developing. If you actually look at Euro's performances since then, the game in Europe last week, brilliant. Look at what he came on when we were playing Liverpool. Okay, his performance when he came on that tackle to stop Darwin Núñez going through, as an example. So the idea that he's been awful because he had one bad game that everybody holds their hand up and say was bad is a terrible narrative. I'm not ready to look at that £50 million investment yet and go, that was bad money spent. That is one for the future. Ugarte, I think, has grown into this team and been excellent by and large. Had some bad moments, yes, but in a team that's dysfunctional, that's going to happen. We know that Maz has been brilliant, and I feel that De Ligt, barring getting chewed up by Gakpo at Anfield, and he got dominated by Samu Amarodian for a couple of goals in the Europa, so I will remember those bad moments. Again, I've been happy with it. And yeah, I'm not panicking about what's going on at Man United right now.
I think some of these players have been a little bit underwhelming. That's it, but you have to give them time, basically.
Yeah, look, I think we've got a team that is being built and put together, and I feel that some of them won't be here in 2 or 3 years. But I understand why there's holes and there's problems, and I don't necessarily think it's purely because if we had the fullbacks that were needed, if we had a bit more energy in the middle, and if we had people up front scoring goals, which I wouldn't put on, barring Xerxes, I wouldn't put that on the majority of these players. I think you'd see everybody else looking better. I mean, I wonder what your view of or the view of Liverpool would be if Salah wasn't scoring any goals, as an example, and you were sitting 4th or 5th in the league. Maybe there wouldn't be as much praise for how good Gravenberch is or how good your defense is, because the overall feeling of your team would be a little bit different. And I think you know what I'm saying? I want to go to a couple of these comments that have come through here. First one says, Terry, have you seen the Deloitte Money League? How the F do Villa not have financial problems? Also, pull the table up. So you've got to remember, so this is the thing with PSR. You can lose money, but some of it is deductible. So, for instance, you could lose 500 million. So people going, how can Man United build a new stadium if they have no money? Because building new stadiums is deductible. So let's just say we start building a stadium and the owners pump some money into it and the club takes money out of its cash reserve and we borrow some money and it creates a new debt. And off that new debt, we lose 500 million a year. But 300 million of it is accountable to the stadium that's taken off of PSR numbers. So again, people have got to learn about PSR before they speak about it per se. So from my perspective, I'd have to look at what they're doing. A lot of Villa's losses are deductible, as an example. So again, why are Man United also looking to buy some young players? When you buy young, all that expenditure, I think it's under 21, is deductible from PSR. So you have to look into these things a little bit more, and I'll take a look at it. But yes, I wouldn't worry too much about that. In terms of Chelsea, I wanted to touch on Chelsea for a moment because they're not having a great time at the moment. 1 win in 7. Why are you laughing?
My favorite topic. Let's go. Hey.
But also,
I want to start. Terry, don't even introduce it. Please let me talk. Please, just let
okay.
me
But
talk.
I'll come back to. I want to introduce this because Mo said something earlier about why would players not pick Chelsea. The one thing I would throw out is this: Chelsea were in a title race 7 games ago. And didn't we all say this? No, didn't we all say this in November? We all agreed with this. If they're in a title race come the transfer window, they'll go out and do what's necessary to try and win it. They'll buy the goalie, they'll buy the striker. They're trying to get Garnacho. So for me, if you want a reason why a player like Tel might turn Chelsea down, well, you can say they're in a better position. They are than Man United right now. But what you've got actual evidence of is when they get close to being in a title race, instead of buying the ready-made players to get you over the line now, which they need, they want to go and buy a struggling Garnacho. So for me, that's a reason. But look, they're not looking like they're doing much business in the transfer window. They've 1 win in 7. They're struggling. Talk to me, Husam.
You know, first of all, the United segment is now done, but I have to say, Husam being the most logical one on Man United, big up. Husam, football analyst. You get me? Big up to me. Now, when it comes to Chelsea, I want to say this. Guys, this is all Poch's fault. Get Poch out, Chelsea Football Club now. Get him out the club. Oh, shit. He's actually the manager of the United States team. Guys, Chelsea have 1 win in 7. Chelsea have 1 win in 7. And yesterday, I pulled up the teams that they dropped points against because it's very important for us to address this. Because don't act like they dropped points to City all the time. It was City and Bournemouth and Crystal Palace and Ipswich and Fulham and Everton. And ever since that Everton game, shit has been downhill for Chelsea Football Club. And Chelsea fans have got together and they've decided that this is all Sanchez's fault. And I realized something, and Mo pointed this out. I'm going to give Mo credit. The reason why Lewis and Don and
big
the
up,
others,
big up, Lewis.
yeah, big up Lewis, of course. The reason why they can't turn on Maresca is because Husam exists. Because I did their head in so bad last season with the Poch conversations, they are gonna wait until this Meresca situation is untenable to turn. I think even if Chelsea were like in 9th, Don and Lewis aren't going to say anything because they were so hard on Pochettino that they know that they have to be the last one to turn. It reminds me of Troops. Troops was so like vehemently Wenger out, right? And he waited. He was the last one to turn on Emery. He was the last one out of all the crew at AFTV to turn on Emery. And they're the same thing. And they're doing the same thing right now. You see this Lewis and Don. They can fool everyone. They can't fool me. I know deep down they know what they're saying. What they're seeing ain't right. And you can say Sanchez. Yes, Robert Sanchez was at fault. Second goal. I blame him completely. There's no need for him to be there. So, okay. Sanchez has made mistakes. But at the same time, Sanchez has also saved Chelsea a couple of times. Evan Nielsen penalty away at Bournemouth. He saved you at home to Nottingham Forest. That Nico Williams save was unbelievable. He's had very good moments, but he has cost Chelsea points 100%. I'll never deny that. Now, let's talk Chelsea on the football pitch. Let's talk the 11 players. Let's talk what we're actually watching. First of all, I'm feeling so cold. Feeling so cold right now. I'm going to go get a blanket. What happened? What happened? Let's talk about best player in the Premier League. Ice cold Cole Palmer looks at Ederson straight in the face and then overhits a pass to Nicholas Jackson, who's also 0 goals in 7. He's went 7 games without a goal. I fell into the trap and I said Jackson has been better than Haaland this season. I'd like to publicly apologize to all the City fans. I'm never going to put Jackson and Haaland in the same category ever again. I'm sorry. Haaland was just going through a bad run and I fell for it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to you City fans listening. It's my bad. I'm never going to mention them in the same thing. Cole Palmer, flat track bully. He's been failing to bully even the smaller teams anymore. Palmer was nowhere to be found against Fulham and nowhere to be found against Everton and nowhere to be found in those important games. Cole Palmer gave the ball away for the Crystal Palace equalizer. But, oh, this is Sanchez's fault. Get Sanchez out my club. Sanchez. Bah, 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 bah. Talk about your players under-delivering. Caicedo's even having a couple of bad games right now. Chelsea's best midfielder, you want to know who over the last 7 games? Enzo Fernandez. Whole face Enzo has actually been Chelsea's best midfielder in this bad run where they're going through a really tough time. It's been Enzo. That's been their best midfielder. And you look at Chelsea right now, and Chelsea are 1 win in 7. And before I already told Terry before stream, I'm going to take a 2-minute break to just go pray and come back. I'm going to present the Chelsea fans the scenario from hell because I like to always bring you down. I'm going to present you the scenario from hell. Monday night football, ladies and gentlemen. You know who pulls up to Stamford Bridge? Graham Potter and West Ham. Don't you dare go 1 win in 8. If you do not beat Graham Potter's West Ham at the Bridge on Monday night, I expect the Chelsea channels to be so toxic and so negative. I am going to have my popcorn ready. I am going to go watch and I'm going to enjoy that shit. I'll be so honest with you. If you lose that game, hell. And I only ask Chelsea fans to, and I'll just end on this. I only ask Chelsea fans to just keep the energy consistent. If you want to blame Poch last season, come back this season and blame Maresca for where we're at. Because guess what? You want to know who's above you right now? City, who've had 1 win in 15 or 1 win in 13, I think it was 1 win in 13, and Nottingham Forest. And at the start of the season, if I told Lewis or Don or Ziad or any of the Chelsea fans I know, hey, guess what? Forest are better than you and they're going to finish above you, they would all laughed in my face and they would have said that I have an agenda against Chelsea and that I'm a hater and I'm doing this because Caicedo rejected us. So let's not act like it's okay for Nuno Santo to finish above Enzo Maresca in this first season. Call out your manager's tactics. For the first 10 minutes away at the Etihad, you dominated. Good spell of possession, everything. And then Pep switched it up. And as soon as Pep switched it up, and as soon as, you know, you just got outclassed for the other 75 minutes. And this is the reality of the situation. So don't just talk to him about Sanchez. Talk about your whole team. Talk about Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer has been...
So can you land your point now so we can argue when you go pray? Can you land your point? So what is your point about Chelsea? I'm being serious.
My point about Chelsea is the following.
Is that is what? Yes.
The target at the start of the season was top 4 and Conference League.
Do you think they're going to make it then? So we can argue this.
To begin with. Okay?
Do you forget your agenda, Husam. What do you think?
Top 4, if they don't get top 4 and they don't win the Conference League, I think heads will turn on.
Do you think they're going to get top 4 then? Because I want to argue. You're going to go pray, so we want to argue this point. Do you think Chelsea can turn it around? No, we're going to like debate this point.
You've been fighting as well from the start of the stream.
Yeah, Habibi, I'm not. You waffled a lot, Husam. You spoke.
Why do you hate Man
I'm being serious. Husam, I'm being serious, by the way. Do you think Chelsea are going to turn it around with Enzo Maresca? That is the main thing.
I cannot.
So you want a lot, and at the end you're gonna. I don't know.
You want me to give certain. You want me to give certain answers on an inconsistent team.
And answer the question. Don't be angry.
Give us your gut. What's your gut? You must have a gut feeling. You must, Husam. You must have a.
Go back to what they did.
Yeah, but that's no. I don't want to if buts or maybes on this one. I want a gut on this one, right? I want a gut. What is your gut feeling?
Doing this.
What does your gut feeling, football knowledge, tell you? Are they going to turn it around, or do you think they'll keep failing? What is your gut?
I want the best analyst on YouTube. Tell us the best analyst can learn from you.
Can I answer the question?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Don't be erratic. It's easy. Calm down. I'm calm. I'm
not a Milan fan. I'm not a Juventus fan.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so when it comes to the question that Terry asked me, gut feeling, I think Chelsea finish outside the top 4. I think Chelsea finished 5th. I think Chelsea finished 5th or 6th, but they will win the Conference League. So that's the thing that I think they will use. Like, oh, we want the Conference League. Anyway, let me go pray and come back.
Great for Chelsea, in my opinion. Let me not debate with Terry. To be honest with you, Terry, in the beginning of the season, Enzo Maresca was doing a great job to get this team to be second, 2 points behind them, and he was doing fantastic football. Yes, the defense was not tight enough, and I think it happened that tactically, oppositions found a way to play against him. That is honest truth. Oppositions found a way to stop Chelsea. Ipswich stopped them. Everton stopped them. There is a lot of teams that are able to stop Chelsea. And it's the problem with Enzo Maresca, and I'm being completely honest, is that, you know, when inexperienced managers get hired at a football club, sometimes it is very hard for them to find solutions out of trouble. And I think that is the problem. There is a reason why Cole Palmer in the beginning of the season has been very, very good, and now tactically he's not being put in the right place. Madueke has not been put in the right place to succeed. Jadon Sancho as well has dropped. Why? Because he's not been put in the right place to succeed. Defenders being left isolated against Ipswich, against Delap, against Man City. And that is the problem with Enzo Maresca. He insists on inverting his fullbacks. And it's not only about inverting the fullbacks. It's all about isolation, having Madueke against 3-4 defenders, and having a lot of his defenders being isolated by themselves. That midfield with Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer and Caicedo might not work. It needs a lot of work on it, especially if you don't have a Van Dijk at the back. To me, I don't think Enzo Maresca has the experience to turn it around without them signing experienced defender or an experienced striker. I think if the team stays as they are at the current moment, I have to agree with Husam. I think Chelsea are in big, big danger. I think they won't finish even in the top 5. I think Newcastle finish ahead of them. I think Nottingham Forest might finish ahead of them. I feel for them even from Bournemouth. I think they can finish behind even Bournemouth in 6th, 7th. And that is because of the inexperience of Enzo Maresca. For us, as people that don't support Chelsea, and people in the chat know this, guys, you went behind Maresca and you said, Maresca, we did our research, he's a good manager. So it is not on us now to give you the excuse that some Chelsea fans now are saying he's inexperienced, he's learning on the job. You are a lot of Chelsea fans, and I'm going to let Terry speak, is doing the Arsenal thing now. It's a process. Let Maresca learn on the job. Well, you didn't say that earlier. And you criticize all Arsenal fans for having Arsenal turning a guinea pig, in your opinion. You said Arsenal are a big club. They shouldn't be experimenting with managers. They shouldn't have processes and phases. There shouldn't be a manager that is learning, managing Arsenal. I've seen some Chelsea fans and saying he's going to learn. What do you mean he's going to learn? You said that is, you literally said, a lot of Chelsea fans, that is not how our club work. You said to Arsenal fans, our club don't do processes and phases. We are expecting to get Champions League this season and next season challenge. That's not what we're seeing now. You started the season very well and you regressed massively. 1 win in 7 is absolutely atrocious. On top of that, fucking going for Garnacho and a 19 years old Tel. Are you mad?
So
and also,
sorry.
Let me add one more point. And also now, you are going back on, Chalobah is not good enough. You have told us, and everyone have told us from the club, the briefing is, Chalobah is not good enough for Maresca, and he doesn't want him in the team. And now he's like, no, but Disasi is not good enough. So clearly it was a financial decision. It wasn't a football decision. Exiling Chalobah from the team was not a football decision. It was a financial decision. And I'm telling you, once clubs go into the... Because at now, they let go of Disasi and they want Chalobah back, which is what is happening. Once you go into that rabbit hole of like making decisions only based on finances, you might not succeed because now you're doing the flip for profiting. And I think Chelsea are in danger if they don't sign experienced players and the ownership and the sporting directors keep saying flip for profit shit, you are not going to succeed. You need no team in the world has won without experienced players in them, and they don't have that.
So what I would say is this for me is I don't necessarily think the Chalobah thing is purely about money. I think it's also a football decision. They believe what they had was better than him. They've now realized they got that wrong. As an example, they still need better than Chalobah, and I think that's the converse. If you look at that in isolation, I always say this: if my car breaks down and I take it to a garage, and that garage breaks my car more, the mistake wasn't trying to get my car fixed. The mistake was taking it to the wrong garage. It had to be fixed. And I think they're in that situation, Chelsea. Chalobah's good, but he is nowhere near the level you need to win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues on a regular basis. On the Meresca thing, it is a process, but a lot of Chelsea fans rejected that notion because they spent so much time slagging off Arsenal. And that's because the younger generation that was like, you get the spoiled people of all ages, but the younger generation that remember Chelsea or even Arsenal having to build, they just always remember them being a good team and they're fallen from that. But when it comes to Maresca, I think they should give him a bit more time. He's definitely made mistakes, but equally, if you look at the last 7 games with 1 win, barring the City game where I feel that they got their approach and their intensity wrong, it was the likes of Jackson missing chances and terrible mistakes at the back from Sanchez that's probably stopped them winning at least 3 or 4 of those other 7 games. Had they won them, we wouldn't be questioning him as a manager. They'd be very firmly inside that top 4. So I think you have to address that. Now, where you can criticize him is, well, he keeps persisting with Robert Sanchez. So I do understand, and I'm not saying he is free from blame, but he's on a 5-year deal. It's going to cost lots of money to get him out. Let's see what he does. I wouldn't be panicking there. The sporting directors, though, and the plan, I'd now be challenging it if I was a Chelsea fan again. And I'll give you an example. I think they've done a very good job cultivating a very talented young team. What they needed this January was just go and get Husam. They needed him in the summer, but they should have gone and got him this January as an example. They can clearly see Sanchez ain't it. There are Premier League goalkeepers. If they went and got Dean Henderson, Ramsdale, Sells, all these guys are much better. They would probably drop. I reckon that Sanchez, if he keeps playing for the rest of the season, he'll cost them another 12 points. Another 12 points he will cost them, irrespective of the tactics and the training and the inexperience of the manager. I feel like they
Can I ask you a question, Terry? I want to ask you a question, and then I'm going to mute my mic.
Yeah, go on.
So you believe that Meresca deserves time, okay? What has Meresca shown at the start of the season that Poch didn't show you at the end of last year?
It's a great argument, and I'm going to say not. You know, there isn't too much difference. Towards the end of last season, Poch had them playing better. What I would say is different is that when Poch started getting Chelsea to play well, do you remember Arsenal in the era under Wenger, where they'd start poorly, have a little bit of a run, then collapse in like March, and then look brilliant for the last 6 weeks of the league? Do you remember that when they did it regularly? And that was always because at the start of the season, pressure. Then the pressure was gone because they were written off and they played well. Then it was, oh, hang on, they might do a Champions League, or they could put a late charge on here. Pressure, collapse, out of it all again. You know, look brilliant for 6 games because the pressure was off. That's why what Maresca did at the start of the season is better than what Poch did at the end, because by the time Poch started getting wins, everyone had wrote them off. There was no, I don't feel like there was any more pressure on that squad because it had already gone wrong and they may be a little bit more free. That was the only thing I would say. Now, again, I'm not saying, and someone said, Terry, you're wrong. He's made mistakes in games.
I can argue there's no pressure on Maresca as well.
Hang on. I think there is. I mean, look, people saying Terry.
They brought in an unproven manager.
Hang on, please. Let me just go to the comment. Terry clearly doesn't watch Chelsea games. Maresca been doing bad in terms of game management. I agree. I think there's been games where he could have brought subs on earlier and different personnel. Game management for me is also the team you pick. And I think continuing to pick Sanchez is poor. As I stated very clearly, he is not free from criticism. But I feel that if they went and got a better striker and a better goalkeeper, they would have won 4 of these last 7 games. And then the micro-analyzing of everything that Meresca does would be very, very different.
That's a crazy theoretical, though.
Why is that crazy?
If Liverpool signed more players, we would have won 3 league titles and 3 Champions Leagues in Klopp's era. So he's better than Pep.
Hang on a minute. Well, some people may argue that, yes, if you won more trophies, they would argue it. But equally, we said earlier, if you didn't have Mo Salah and if you didn't have Gravenberch, okay, so experienced quality players, and you were sitting 4th in the league, would everybody be praising Slot's the same man, same tactics, same system, everything's identical, same in-game management, but he's 4th? He wouldn't be getting the praise he's getting now. Sometimes it's also about the players that you have at your disposal. Now, I'm not saying that Enzo shouldn't be criticized, but we also know that he doesn't control the ins and outs of the club. This January, they should have gone, we need a bagsman. Bang. We've all just sat here and said, Mo said it. They're looking at Garnacho and the young Tel. They should be looking at players 24, 25, 26, experienced, high quality, 60 million here, an 80 million deal here. They almost guarantee top 4. They become a more powerful and potent team next year. And so for me, you can criticize Meresca all you want, but I still think most managers would fail at Chelsea in terms of getting them over the line to win the major trophies. Well, but it's not a problem.
The transfer window specifically.
But it's about everything. It's a combination, isn't it?
You know, because he's not a yes man, and Maresca is a yes man. Have you ever considered that crazy theory?
That's a fair point. So you think that Maresca is just going to sit back and take what he's given until he's sacked?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Enzo Maresca is happy to be at Chelsea. This is the biggest club he's ever managed. He was a Leicester manager that got promoted. Had he been in the Premier League, he'd probably been the first manager sacked because Leicester had no hope in hell in staying up with that team right there. So Enzo Maresca is happy to be at Chelsea. Pochettino was calling out the ownership and the scouts towards the end of last season, and he was calling them out during the summer transfer windows, and that's exactly why they sacked Pochettino. Because Enzo Maresca comes out this season and says what? The target for this season is not top 4. The target for next season is top 4. So Pochettino was sacked for not achieving the targets is total bullshit. So it shows me that they wanted a yes man who will just say yes to everything that they want. Because if they forced Pochettino to play Sanchez, he would have said no because he liked Petrovic. But Maresca is saying yes to being forced to play Sanchez because he's happy to be there and he's a yes man.
So
I actually agree with him a little bit. Yeah. I actually agree.
I'm going to come to you in a second, but I want to ask you about your logic there. So based on your logic, Amorim talking about Rashford the way he does, that's proof he's not a yes man because he's trying to force Rashford out of the club because he doesn't rate him.
Are you crazy? I've already, you know what? You know my argument. My argument is Amorim is the opposite of a yes man.
Okay, I'm asking. I'm just checking. I'm checking that your logic.
100%.
I'm not challenging. I rarely challenge what people say. I'm just trying to understand your logic and does it work unilaterally? And if you think that, you think that. Fair enough. I'm not going to challenge it. Mo, over to you.
Yeah, no, for me, it's not only about the striker or anything. It's on the manager if the striker is not firing to put the wingers and other people in the right places to score, and that is what Maresca is failing to do, Terry. I know that you think if they had an experienced manager, if the board is not giving you what you want, you work with what you have. And that is what he's not doing. He's insisting on doing the same things, and it's not giving him results. And so you have to understand that it's the same as if Højlund is not scoring and Amorim keeps doing the same thing, putting Højlund to score and Højlund doesn't score. Well, how about you change a little bit to actually have the winger score or do something else? If your defenders if you don't have Van Dijk at the back, why are you isolating your defenders one-on-one in some games? And then say, but the board is not giving me a better defender. You agreed to join that club. You know these sporting directors. You sat with them and you knew exactly the approach of this football club. That is on him to get the best out of this team. Because Chelsea is not about, the style of play, because they're going to keep changing. They're going to keep adding players. Him not getting the best of Joao Felix, for example. And now the board is looking to sell the guy. That shows me that there's something broken at the club at the current moment.
So what I find interesting about that is I don't think Joao Felix, again, that's how we see it differently. I hear your point. There's two things I want to say. One, I don't think Joao Felix is that good. He fouled at Ati. He fouled at Chelsea first time. He's fouled at Barca. He's now fouled at Chelsea. I wouldn't blame that on Man United fans want him. I'm like, you're all mad. The guy is a bust.
Facts.
The other point I would say is this, in defense of Meresca, is you're right. He knew what he was joining. But Chelsea and Chelsea fans also know they just got a fledgling manager who's 1 year in and never managed in the big leagues. So the mistakes, for me, when you do that, I think again, Pep is an anomaly. And he goes against the rule of walking straight into an elite level team and being brilliant day one. Most other managers, they build themselves up over time as coaches, as assistant managers, and then as managers. So as much as, yes, Maresca knew what he was walking into, everyone that understands football and did any research on Maresca, even a minuscule amount, knows that you've got a fledgling and young manager, and it's going to take time. I don't believe Chelsea brought him in, and I don't think any Chelsea fan that backed the sacking of Poch and the hiring of Enzo when we've got a ready-made finished article. So I think there's a bit of give and take here. And as I've already said, I think...
Do you think he's a yes man? You, Terry Fleward.
I have a bigger question to Terry completely.
I don't necessarily think he might be. And it depends on what people's definition of a yes man is, as an example. Because you two wouldn't come on my channel and say something that could get my channel demonetized or taken down, would you?
No.
I'll tell you the difference between a yes man and what
hang on though. But no, there's not a difference. It's people's different definitions. So no. It's people have different definitions. The point is, some would say you're doing what Terry wants. That makes you a yes man to him. I don't think that is a yes man. I think that's being respectful to something that.
No, but you're changing it up now, Terry.
No, I'm not, because you've not let me finish my point.
A yes man is someone who doesn't challenge you.
Okay, in some people's eyes, yes, but do you know that he isn't challenging him in the boardroom? Some people will challenge in a boardroom and not publicly. Others will challenge more publicly because they don't have the balls in a private environment to challenge people. And I've seen that in my working life. So the point I'm making is this, right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm stating, and I want us to try and get to the bottom of this.
So you're sitting on the fence, essentially.
No, I'm not.
No, hold on.
No. I'm not sitting on the fence.
Okay. No. I want to interrupt you. But can you actually answer the question?
The reason you don't understand what I'm saying is because you keep interrupting me and you're not listening to understand. My point is this: when you ask me if he's a yes man, what we have to agree on is the definition of a yes man first. Because if we all three give a definition and we ask 5 random people in the audience to write a definition, we might get 8 different answers. Therefore, it becomes a very hard conversation to have. So if you describe to me what a yes man is, and I'll answer it based on your definition, that's easier than me giving an answer. Because if we're both on different pages, it's going to take forever. So you describe what a yes man is.
Can I give you the example of a yes man? Sam, sorry. A manager that knows that his team needs a striker, but the board want to invest in a winger for profit later, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to take the winger and work with him. That's called a yes man. Is that all right, Husam? Is that, you agree with this?
So I find that a little, okay, I understand that point, and that definition, I'd say, yeah, that sounds like a yes man. However, let me counter that. What if that same, forget it's Chelsea, forget it's Meresca. What if that same person has been told, you're getting a top class 25, 26-year-old striker in the summer. So therefore, he's not going to slag the board off now, because why lose your job before you get what you want in the summer? So I think what your example is really sort of nuanced and kind of vague on a broad sense.
Okay.
Okay, can I ask the chat a question? Husam? Let me ask
I
a
was
question.
going to ask the chat. We have a fantastic
I
community.
am. No, I have a different.
One second, Mo. Everyone in the chat, I'm going to give you two choices, and I'm going to put it in numbers so it's easy for you, so we can observe which number we see more in the chat. If you think Enzo Maresca is a yes man, put the number 1 in the chat. If you think he isn't a yes man, put the number 2 in the chat. No life stories, no paragraphs, nothing. Just write 1 or 2.
Yeah, we'll do a poll, right? That will be even easier to manage.
Yeah, let's see the chat.
Hang on, but again, the chat can say the yes man. It's fine, but I want to understand what people consider a yes man to be. Because
okay, I'll tell you what I consider a yes man to be. I'll tell you.
Break it down in more detail, please.
Is a yes man because they're telling him play Robert Sanchez, or we're gonna sack you, and he is gonna play Robert Sanchez like the good boy that he is, and he's happy to be there, aka Brendan Rodgers, which is a yes man, meaning you're happy to be at the job and you're not exerting your charisma and your personality everywhere you go. So you are a yes man because you're doing exactly what the board asking you to do. Because I promise you right now that Enzo Maresca does not want Alejandro Garnacho or Mathys Tel or any of these shit players that Chelsea are looking at. So that's a yes man.
So based on your logic, that sounds a lot like Jurgen Klopp, because Jurgen Klopp would often not moan. No, he would back your owners and say how great they were. He would praise how good his squad was, and he wouldn't come out and slag his board off. What's the difference in your opinion?
Jurgen Klopp forced the club to sign Henderson on a contract when the club wanted him gone. That is not a yes man.
Okay.
A yes man.
But that's having influence. That's
the opposite of a yes man.
Yeah.
1 second. Praising the owners publicly. Okay, 1 second. I'll explain.
Go on.
Praising the owners publicly is not a yes man. That's why I never mentioned it when I was talking about Maresca. Praising the owners publicly is what every manager has to do, and I've never even criticized Arteta for it to begin with. No, I criticize no one for praising the owners because you have to. I'm talking about your behaviors. I'm talking about your mannerisms, your charisma, the way that you talk, your application of in terms of the players. Can anyone go? Could John W. Henry or Michael Edwards or any person come to Jurgen Klopp and go like, you have to play Loris Karius or we'll sack you? Is that a plausible scenario? No. Therefore, he's not a yes man.
I understand your point. However, you're talking about nearly a decade of data, so interviews, press conferences, players in, players out, versus 7 to 8 months. So it's very hard to do the comparison for me. I think the problem with calling people a yes man is we typically, if we like someone, we'll say they're not. If we don't like them, we'll look.
Slot is a yes man.
Please let me finish. Please, you think Arne Slot's a yes man?
Yes.
Okay. Times on his shows.
Okay.
Just calm down. Let's talk. So, but you think Arne Slot looks like he's going to be really successful, doesn't it?
Yes, but he is a yes man.
So this is the thing when you're calling someone a yes man. If Arne Slot's a yes man and is on course to maybe winning a quad, a treble, a Premier League or a Champions League, Premier League double, is being a yes man innately bad?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. There are good yes men and there's bad yes men. The reason why Chelsea, reason why I brought up the argument is, I think, okay, I'll tell you why. Okay, let's come back full circle and make the important point in this yes man debate. The reason why I brought it up, Terry, is I don't believe they sacked Pochettino because he didn't finish in the top 4.
I understand.
I believe that they sacked Pochettino because he called them out publicly and was not a yes man. So they got a yes man in, the company guy that is happy to be there so he can do whatever Clear Lake want him to do. That's my genuine logic with it. Because if Meresca comes out publicly and says the target is not top 4 for this season, then we know.
So my question to you both would be, so let me ask you this question, James. I think it's important. I'm happy to accept. I'm just digging to try and find out definition of yes man, good or bad for a club. What's better for Chelsea's future? A yes man who gets on, hang on. A yes man who gets on with the board, does what they say to a certain degree, and tries to get the best out of what he's got, or someone that kicks off, goes against the grain, and is sacked after 9 months, which is going to yield over a 8-9 year period the best results for Chelsea?
and
I
not
believe
yes man
actually.
because of
Uh,
Clear
uh,
Lake's bad
yes, thank you,
record
Husam.
in terms of
So
decisions.
here is the thing. The answer, Terry, right, depends on one answer, on one question. Do you guys believe that Clear Lake and the board and the sport directions have Chelsea winning is the more priority now for them, or the profit and flip for profit? Answer that, and you know what a yes man or not. That's it. That means a yes man will go with that, and Chelsea are not going anywhere. You get someone to expose these guys, fans turn, and they have to switch the priorities at the club. You get a yes man then, and he does things the way they want. Club goes nowhere because they can keep getting someone still in 6 months, a year, invest the money in the places that they don't want. You don't sign experience, and that is the problem. If you get someone like an Antonio Conte now, he will expose them. Do we think that exposing the sporting directors is good for the club? I believe
Yes.
so.
Yes.
I believe so.
Listen, boys, as I say, I get your logic, and it is sound. My only argument back to that is then that fans shouldn't even be focused. If that's what you're saying is true, based on your definition of this and your outlook of this, then already fans shouldn't even be thinking about their squad or their players. They shouldn't be reviewing games. Everything they talk about should be board, owners, because even if they get a manager that exposes, let's all be real for a moment. We have seen clubs like mine do protests. We've seen all these things that our clubs have done, and very little changes, because fans are never going to be willing to do the only thing that could make a club change. And ironically, Man United fans are saying they're going to boycott now. The ticket prices have gone up because it's costing them money, but they weren't willing to boycott when it wasn't costing them additional money. I understand your point. I think where the theory falls down is Chelsea fans aren't going to walk away from their club. They're going to keep putting money in. Therefore, if the owners are only interested in money, I don't see how a rogue helps them in the long term at all.
Okay, but
I
that's why
believe
we
in the
say big up
stadium,
CB.
same as you. You
Big up
did your
CB.
job, Terry. Habibi, you did your job, Terry.
Well, I
Every
did.
single time. Yeah, you did your job for
Yeah,
Man
you
United.
did. Yeah, we'll
You
give you credit.
believe
I did,
that
yeah.
you did your part. You believe that
yes.
you did your part. It starts with one person, and the rest of them will follow.
But they won't though. So it does, and there'll be individual Chelsea fans who will go, "I'm stepping away because these men that own my club are leeches. They only want a yes man owner, a yes man manager. We're never going to be successful that way. It's just about growing the brand until they can sell it for a profit." And there'll be some that walk away. They'll tell everyone else and try and ask everyone else. But in my personal opinion, just through personal experience at my club and watching others, they'll still sell the stadium out every week. They'll still get £40 million a year shirt sponsors. They'll still get TV money from the Premier League. The value of Chelsea will still grow because of just based on where it's based in London and property value. And there's a theory in England that properties are going to double in price over the next decade, as an example. So for me, listen, I'm not even disagreeing with your point about Meresca, because it's definitions of it, and you boys are entitled to that. I just feel there's a lot of talk, or we'll do it as fans. I think he's a yes man. I don't think he is. Oh, I love what he said there. I hate that. Therefore, he's this. I'm undecided, honestly, this day and age, whether a yes man is good or bad for a football club. And I suppose whether they're a yes man or not also dictates whether or not the manager and head coach agrees with what the board are doing, right? So the board can do the same thing for every manager, but one might be a yes man, one might be a rogue because they see things in the same way or differently. So yeah, look, I'm not too sure.
But you haven't answered the question. So the question
Yeah,
is,
you haven't
in your opinion, Terry, looking at Chelsea now and the approach on the Garnacho and all that, do you think the board and the sporting directors or the people that run the club have the best interest, the right priority at Chelsea Football Club? It's simple.
And
Your gut
is
feeling.
Maresca, yes?
Your gut feeling.
Hang on a minute. I'll answer that question. That wasn't the question. Your question was, do I think that Maresca's a yes man? Is what the first question was.
No. We followed that by saying, you asked us, do you think a yes man is a good or a bad thing in a club? And I said, it all depends on what you personally think the board and the sporting directors have as priorities at the club. That's it.
Yeah, look, I think from my point of view, I've always had a feeling that they're trying to build something brilliant. My mind, this window has started to change. So it hasn't completely changed because I don't operate like that in life. And the reason I'm saying that is because they're on the edge of the title race. They're falling away from it. They were in a title race. They could have gone out and bought a really good striker, improved their back line, goalkeeper, defense, and they haven't done it. And for me, I've kind of followed the pattern of what they've briefed and what their fans have said. but when we're ready to strike, they'll back us. It hasn't happened. So that's, but again, for what it's worth to Chelsea fans, that makes me doubt what they're doing. Doesn't mean they've completely got winning is not a priority in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to make that statement at this point because my mind hasn't completely changed. Let's see what they do in the summer as an example. But what I will say is I think the board and the owners have let Chelsea fans so far, it might in the next 3 days change. I think they have let Chelsea fans down massively this window. There's no doubt about that in my mind. On Meresca being a yes man, if I go on by your definition, yes, he is. If I go by your definition, then I'll say that he is. Again, I could get another definition and say, well, no, he's not based on that. But I don't think the board at Chelsea have done anywhere near enough in any way, shape, or form this January. And by the way, someone here says, stop ganging on Terry. I don't feel ganged up on at all. It's called a conversation amongst friends. I'm fine. I'm relaxed. It's not an issue to me whatsoever. It's called having a conversation. And it's not called fence sitting. It's called delving deeper. What I don't want to do with every conversation on the Football Terrace is have it be low-hanging fruit, basic bits analysis. Yes, he's a yes man. Chelsea owner's bad. Let's give some nuance. Let's give some details. Let's give some caveats. Let's look at things from different directions. Let's have a conversation like grown-ups. That's what we do here. As best, sometimes it's a bit of banter and a bit of fun, but there we go. I've got a lot of super chats to go to here that I want to jump into. Jim Carrey, The Ultimate Yes Man. Oh, that was a great movie. That was a great movie, Yes Man. It really, really was.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. See, the thing with Yes Men is this. I'm a bit of a company man myself. So whenever I've worked for anyone or with anyone, I'm very dedicated to it. And publicly, I will always back and stand by them. Privately, I'm a challenger. So that's why when it comes to looking at a yes man, I ignore a lot of what I see in public. And I look at, but then you look over time around, do you get what you want? Have you improved things? Have things got better? Can you change things? Because if one of you employed me to work for you and you were doing something I thought was wrong, I wouldn't go on the internet and say anything. I'd come to you personally. So I suppose we view things differently.
I was not a yes man. That's why I get upset when I see shit like this. Because when I in my previous job,
but I'm not a yes man. But again, it's how you behave. So what I will never do is anyone that's paying me a salary, anyone who's invested in me, I will not disrespect that and when I say public environment, I'm not talking when I worked in the banks. I wouldn't be in a team meeting and my boss do something wrong and out my boss in front of everyone. I'd pull him or her aside and have a private conversation because they've given me this job. They've given me a promotion. I've got respect for them for that reason. So there's a right and a wrong time to do things in my view. So that's maybe why I view my previous job differently to other people.
I found a way to get to the owner directly of the company that I was working for. And I sat down with the owner and I told him everything about the company and I got sacked.
Well, there we go.
You gotta learn from it.
Maybe being a yes man is good for job security.
Do you know why you got sacked though? And I bet I'm close to it. It weren't even probably what you said per se. It's that you went over multiple people's heads, which is a massive no-no in an organization. Because again, maybe it's because of mine's more due to my martial arts upbringing. And when you get brought up in a real martial arts club, not a twice a week in a community center, I'm talking a full-time martial arts center. The hierarchy system within your club is so important. It's drilled into me from 5 years old. You believe in it. And the only time I'd go above somebody's head is if they continually kept on doing the wrong thing and it was going to damage things. But yeah, you don't do that. And all young people watching, don't go above people's heads as a general rule. You'll ruin your career and your life. Trust me. Don't do what Husam did.
But you will feel a lot better doing it. I'll be honest with you. I felt so good that day.
Yeah, don't invite. Don't give advice. Don't give wrong. Bro, just hold your tongue.
Obviously, two yes men being upset at Jose Mourinho over here. I apologize.
Don't do that, Habibi. Just
there's a right and a wrong time to call things out, and a right and wrong way of doing it. But whatever happened to Dewsbury Hall? It looks like he's being sold. Ronin here says unrealistic. New young manager bucking the system. Yeah,
that's the whole point. That's why he's a yes man. Because he's listening to what's
funny about it. Let's say it works though. Let's say they win the Conference League next year, the FA Cup next season, and then they win the Premier League the year after and retain it. I'm painting a picture.
Fantastic.
Then we'd come back to this conversation and go, for Chelsea, a yes man was good, which is why I won't make any overarching statements about it.
I guarantee you, that only will happen if they change the approach, like what they did with Pedro Neto, for example. So they went and forked the money for someone who has been in the league.
Yeah.
But if they go back now and start doing well, let's get this guy and see how much he's worth in the next 6 months.
This is why
He's not gonna get anywhere.
if Enzo Maresca goes above all their heads, they might sack him. If he publicly stands in line, but privately is building a relationship where he can learn to influence them, the changes that Chelsea want might happen. And this is my point around saying it's good or bad. We don't know enough information about the people internally. So people go, oh, I hate the fact that Ineos say nice things about the Glazers. But don't you want them out? Wouldn't it make sense that maybe you've got to be nice to them to keep convincing them to sell your chunks? If they were horrible about them, they're not going to. It's people are just so basic minded with these things. I feel Meresca has a better and more mature squad than Poch. That's a very, very fair.
Are you
point.
a Chelsea fan, my man? You're a Chelsea fan.
He might be.
I'm really intrigued to know. Can you just send us a chat? Say that if you're a Chelsea fan or not. I want to know if a Chelsea fan would say that.
Luke here says, hit the like chat. Thank you, Luke. And yes, everybody get that like button smashed. I think Chelsea have moved from win first season or you're sacked to 3-year projects for Maresca. Well, they don't have that team and squad anymore, so they have to change tact.
Well, they never had it last year either.
Yeah, and I know I get that. The point I'm making is that Chelsea don't have the squad to do what they did multiple times under Roman, where they just change manager and win a Premier League. So something's got to give in that regard at the moment. Maresca has made mistakes. Yes, Poch has done it week in, week out. Good end of the season for Poch. We know Chelsea more than you. Poch is also a yes man.
I was Poch a yes man when he publicly called out your board and your owners, and he spoke publicly about the transfers that he wanted, that he did not get, and he did not listen to stuff like you are forced to play Robert Sanchez. So how is he a yes man? You can't just say stuff for the sake of it.
Big up the panel. I'm sorry, Husam, but you can't be disingenuous. Poch took 30 match weeks to get us to 40 points. Meresca is young. Poch was experienced.
Yeah, but maybe the players were just getting used to his style and system. As soon as they got used to the style and system, they started cooking.
My man, super chatting. You're right. All these are facts and statements. So if you're a Chelsea fan, so you're accepting that your club now is being learn on the job club. Let's get the man to learn on the job. Yeah. By the way, it's up to people. By the way, before you go on to the next super chat, by the way, it's up to you as a fan. But you cannot tell me I accepted the process and just go online, do a Twitter, and slug off other clubs when you do processes. You just can't. You cannot be two-faced.
This is why I feel like sometimes when it comes to the banter, people, especially if you're someone that's going to put out content, just hold back on it, because it's nearly always going to come back and bite you in the ass at some point. Hold back. When Husam said we'd finish 6th behind Newcastle and Villa, I agree and thought it was logical. If only you said we'd be Meresca out a month later from Christmas. Spot on.
I actually predicted we'd be Meresca out in March, to be fair. So, yeah.
Mo wants us to sign superstars again. You mean do the same? This is about Man United. You mean do the same thing you told us to stop doing because it was failing. Plus, also the majority of superstar signings post Fergie were more commercial than football.
Okay, so just to answer you, Joshua, number one, Sam misrepresented what I said. I mean established players. Maybe I misspoke, and if I said superstars, I raise my hand and I say
You're blaming me.
Can you not interrupt me? Yes, because you kept saying superstars. Joshua, I meant what Man United need at the current moment are established players. When I mean established players, even Mazraoui is someone who plays for Bayern Munich. De Ligt has a career. Ugarte, PSG, was coached under Amorim and Luis Enrique. That is my point. Man United need the starters to be established. Players that Amorim can give instructions, they don't need they're not raw. That's what I mean, Joshua. Forget the Pogbas and the Zlatans and all these superstars. But I still believe, and I think Terry agreed with me, that Dorgu has to be, in the summer, there has to be more an established fullback, and then Dorgu is going to develop under him. That is what I meant, Joshua. If you misunderstood what I said, I'm sorry. It's Husam's fault.
Will Enzo have a job if he was still at Leicester? Well, it depends where Leicester are.
I think
what does that mean?
It depends how he would have done in the league. We don't. That's what. Again,
why are you saying that?
If they were 15th in the league, yes. If they were bottom of the league, he probably would have got sacked. I mean, depends on where they.
What if it's first to say,
Discussing what they are doing to Chelsea. Their priority isn't competing. Champions League is just a bonus for them. Becoming Dortmund, Brighton, pitiful. Do you know what's really interesting about that, though? Again, and this will completely change my mind about Clear Lake. Rory Jennings, and it's a theory. It's Rory Jennings' theory. He's a Chelsea fan, so he's entitled to it. He feels if Chelsea miss out on the Champions League, he thinks that Cole Palmer gets sold this summer.
Ooh, that would cause hell.
So, and that also would say something. If they, for instance, this summer went, right, great, we'll cash in 120 million for Palmer, I feel like it wouldn't just be the loss of the player. I think there'd be again, me as someone that's kind of criticized a lot of what they've got wrong, I still have a belief they're trying to build a team that can win things. That would just be a case of, damn, he's only been there 2 years. To lose him at a profit, that would set a bad precedent.
Can I give you a theory? Can I give you a theory?
Go on,
They're going to pin it Cole Palmer. They're going to pin it on Cole Palmer wanting to leave. He wants to go to achieve bigger things at a bigger club. He's going to be, Cole Palmer cannot play Europa League again or Conference League. Cole Palmer must play Champions League football. He has to be at a club that is competing for the league. And then, we're not at fault. We didn't want to say, he just wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I think that is the story that will be written, like Cole Palmer has to achieve something bigger.
That makes
sense.
And
it goes for every player,
That's how they'll sell it, and there's no doubt. It's like when, Liverpool doing that to Trent right now. Oh, he's greedy, he's horrible, he's nasty, horrible little man. No, he's just got, he just wants to try something new. He's just been painted wrong. On Arsenal. Linked today, on a few sources to Cunha again. There's all the talk yesterday about Duran. Most Arsenal, it always makes me laugh in the chat. Terry, I don't think we're signing any of them. Well, we're going to get to that conversation. And most Arsenal fans think they're getting no one now at this point. Gents, we keep seeing the stories. We keep seeing the links. Obviously, we'll report on them. We'll show the sources. We'll get everyone's opinions. But from your perspective, I'll go to Husam first on this. Do you think Arsenal are going to bring in a player the quality of a Duran, a Tel, a Cunha before the deadline ends in a few days?
I think Arsenal are signing no one. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Arsenal are going to sign anyone from now till the end of January. And I think when it comes to even the whole conversation regarding
2 minutes,
regarding what's his name, regarding John Duran or whoever Arsenal sign, I think people need to look at it from a different perspective. I think the perspective for me is the following. I think Arsenal are happy with what they've got. I think they're actually happy with what they've got, and they think that they can, challenge/win the league with the team that they currently have. And I think this is the issue when it comes to maybe obviously directions and stuff like this. I don't think maybe the Arsenal hierarchy look at this as we have an opportunity. City are dead. Let's go up there and sign players. I don't think Arsenal are going to sign anyone in these next 2 days, to be honest with you. Just like my club won't. I think it's very similar, maybe type of ownerships and the way that they operate and think, with our ones being even worse. So I think with Arsenal, they could use a John Duran, they could use even a Tel, they could use a lot of these players, like a lot of the ones that you mentioned. They could use. They could actually use some of these players to help them out, to help them in the Champions League, to help them in the Premier League, but they're just not doing that. And I think they don't have intent and they don't have ambition. And I think when it comes to Arteta as well, they have spent a lot of money on players that maybe aren't of that level or of that caliber. Spent a lot of money, like the Havertz situation, like other players maybe who have this they have signed, who haven't really turned out to be unbelievable, to be honest with you. And I think here's the issue. In the January transfer window, a player that can come in and help Arsenal right now, they're going to have to pay a lot of money. A lot of money. And it's been reported, how much do Aston Villa want for John Duran? 84 million.
Yeah.
Do I see Arsenal paying 84 million in these next 2-3 days? No, I don't see them paying 84 million. Will it be worth the risk if it's someone like a John Duran to come in so they could win a league title from now until May? It is worth the risk for me, but I don't think Arsenal Football Club as an institution, not the fan base, as an institution agree that it's worth the risk. And I think this is where the conversation comes in and you have to be honest about it. And I'll be honest with you. Look, as someone who obviously watches the Premier League and observes the title race and different stuff, as soon as I saw Saka injured, I really expected Arsenal to sign someone. And it's 29th January and no one has walked through the door, which makes me a little bit shocked, to be honest with you.
I believe Arsenal will sign someone. I genuinely believe that Arsenal will sign someone at the end of this window.
Who?
Somebody will come in. Don't ask me who. I don't know. I'm not negotiating with them. Don't ask me who. I believe that Arsenal will sign someone. I don't believe they're gonna leave Arteta because, to be honest with you, if they don't sign someone, they give Arteta that excuse. And I know that the board is behind Arteta and all of them. If Arsenal don't sign someone in this window, basically what is gonna happen at the end is that the fans will say, but the board didn't back Arteta. If they do this, they open the window for a lot of speculations about is Arteta with the board. Do the board need Arteta to stay? Why didn't they back him in this window? And I believe that the board and Arteta always want to be known and seen as one unit. And if Arteta is literally saying that we're very light, right, in press conferences, I believe the board will stand behind him. Will that signing be a marquee signing that will take them over the line? It will be someone just to add to the numbers. I don't know who. But I have this feeling that the board will not, because if they don't sign anyone from Arteta, and Arteta already criticized the board or kind of like hinted at the board, oh, we're very light, they leave it to the whole season now. Every time Arsenal drop points, the journalists will ask, do you feel betrayed by the board? Do you feel betrayed by the board? Why didn't the board back you when you wanted a player? Why didn't the board back you when you said you wanted a player that were very light? Is there a broken link between you and the board? They leave it to speculations. And that is a massive problem, in my opinion, for the Arsenal image. They always want to look like a unit. And that is my belief in this. Hello? How are you? How are you doing? So that is
future Liverpool captain right there. Let's go.
Future Liverpool captain.
Future
Big
Liverpool
up to
captain.
It's big up to Terrace kids, of
Big up.
course. So that is, I know that Arsenal fans, and I have that feeling for Arsenal fans, to be honest. Hello, Freya. How are you doing? Good?
Hi, can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I don't think you can hear us.
I don't think they can hear us. So, in my opinion, I think Arsenal will sign someone. I think Arsenal will sign someone. I know that you believe that the board will not give them anybody, but they can't have that between them. He doesn't know the mic is muted. To me.
Yes, I think Terry muted himself before going. Pick up Terry, man.
Why do you think Arsenal won't sign anyone? Why do you think the board?
Because the board just don't have ambition.
Don't you believe that if
you're
they
talking
don't,
like they should, and I agree that they should. But I don't think.
Don't you think
would.
that if they aren't planning to sign anyone, you wouldn't let Arteta speak in the media about we're very light and rile up the fan?
Arteta has power at Arteta has power at
Arsenal.
At Arsenal, but I don't think because they can't sack him now. I think if they do sack him, that there will be war, to be honest with you. So I don't think that they will sack him. However, I think there is an issue, to be honest with you, in terms of the club ambition and direction. You have to look at it from an ownership perspective. Do I see their owners having ambition to sign someone? And I'll be honest with you, no.
Yeah, but they won't let Arteta basically out them in the media.
Arteta is not a yes man. That's the difference.
Yeah, but they always look like they are together. They always look like they're together. Always look like they're together. And that is the thing, to be honest.
He was trying to say hi to us, but you were muted.
Yeah, you muted him, Terry, by the way.
Why do you mute him?
You're muting yourself.
I went out the room, so I always mute my microphone. And
they were trying to say hi to the audience.
Hello. Say hi.
Hello.
Right, go on. I'll come see you in a minute. I'll be done soon. Careful. Shut the door behind you, please, baby. Thank you.
So and can I ask you guys something?
Liverpool captain. Let's go.
Can I ask you guys, if Husam is right, and I want to ask the people in the chat about this, the Arsenal fans especially, if the board doesn't sign anyone to Arteta, right, at the end of the window, do you think there is a theory that they do that so Arteta will have the excuse in front of the fan when they just go and say you failed this season, but the board, do you think the board will do that to take the heat off him a little bit?
Guys, very quickly, there's some breaking news here just on Arsenal. This is from the Secret Scout. Some people believe credible. I'm not going to say too much. We've already had a lot of interactions. It says here that Arsenal have approached Aston Villa to sign Ollie Watkins for a fee in the region of 60 million. No guarantees or decisions yet, but talks with Aston Villa and the players' representatives are advancing. before deadline day, by the way, is Monday, so it's in 5 days' time. It says Villa want to get João Felix in before they consider selling Ollie Watkins. The only thing I'd say about this, okay, and is that if Duran's going somewhere, Ollie, the only way this happens is if Duran stays. And ironically, talk about yes men. I just don't think that Unai Emery wants Duran as his number one and Ollie Watkins gone. Personally, you know what I'm saying? I don't see this one as being
I don't see this
credible
at all.
personally.
Can I ask you? Okay, great. Can I ask you guys something? If you're Arsenal now, pay money because Duran, by the way, it's Saudi Arabia. The reports yesterday saying 70 million, so basically 60 million pounds. Would you sign Duran or Ollie Watkins for Arsenal? Very distinct, like different players. Would you sign that one?
Arsenal they need Watkins more.
So you think Arsenal should not go for?
Arsenal,
that Watkins
established.
Watkins will not have a resale value.
Yes, but the ceiling on Duran is a lot.
People
higher,
in the chat, one name only: Duran or Watkins. If Arsenal trying to push Liverpool for the league,
Ollie Watkins, and I'll never forgive him. But when it comes to Ollie Watkins, obviously he's better than Duran now, but Duran has a much higher ceiling.
So
Duran suits a club that doesn't want to win now more, like a Chelsea.
I have this feeling that if they go and sign Duran, in my opinion, Arsenal board will think like, well,
I would go for Duran if I was Arsenal. Again, money financially, I get that. I get people think differently, but I just think Duran's younger. I look at what
more room to improve.
Watkins is good. I think I just feel if one's 60 and one's 80, I'd go for Duran at 80 because of the age thing. I think they're both very good, though. I think they're both very good. I remember when I I got told by Spurs fans that Richarlison is clear of Watkins.
Yes.
Funny old world we live in.
It's definitely better than
Spurs fans told us Maddison is clear of Odegaard as well. So
don't talk about Odegaard now because some Arsenal fans are they start thinking that maybe Odegaard is not the guy to lead the team, which is different.
Saying just
But anyway, on Arsenal at the end. It's we're not going to talk Arteta in, Arteta out, whatever thing. Like, that has been dead. But the problem is now, a lot of people are saying, maybe Arsenal should, if they are ambitious, go and sign a striker, push for the title now. Why are you waiting for Cisco? What if Cisco in the summer, someone that will pay more than Arsenal, go for him? Barcelona, whatever, whoever. Bayern Munich. What if Bayern Munich say, we're signing Cisco and we're going to spend more than Arsenal and he wants to stay in the Bundesliga? You waited for nothing. Then
they go sign Duran anyway for 80
and then they go sign Duran for more money, and then they missed up on the trying to push Liverpool to the title, who aren't looking like they're going to sign anyone. They're going to stay with the same team. So you're literally giving yourself no chance.
What did I tell you a week ago? I told you there's like a 55%, 60% possibility you get Shirky. That's it. I didn't see us doing.
And that's about it. So Arsenal should, and for the people, for some of the Arsenal fans that are turning into accountants, i.e. Gal, and saying that we should not go sign someone now if it's going to take from the budget in the summer. Who gives a shit? Just go and try to push Liverpool for the title. Don't care about the 10 million difference that you're going to overpay now. Your owners are going to pay. Who cares? Because at the end, if you push, you know that 10 million, Husam and Terry, everyone in the chat, it can be the difference between you reaching a quarterfinal of the Champions League or a semi-final of the Champions League. That can be the difference. Or a final. That can be the difference. Your endorsements, your money can be, well, we kind of missed on that goal that we should have scored against Inter or Atletico or someone because we didn't have a striker and Havertz is there. Well, here is your 10 million overpaying for Duran or whoever.
Arsenal in the Champions League final. Oh my God, I would love it.
Like, I don't understand why is this accountants for Arsenal. We're not saying you're going to sign a striker anyway. You guys agree. Everyone knows that. You're going to sign a striker now or in the summer.
Also, some breaking news in the last few minutes as well. This comes from the French journalist Santi. He has just stated that Tottenham have opened talks with Brentford for Wissa and is a concrete option and target for them.
Why is Wissa downgrading? Doesn't make any sense.
Listen, I'm reading the news out and seeing what's being said. So there we go.
Here you go. There's a guy in the chat that's called Johnny Fiver or whatever. He's not sending a fiver, so he's not a fiver. He's just Johnny Zero. At the chat, like the show is comment without he's not sending a super chat. My fiver man. Why? Because I want your club to be ambitious? Or are you another guy that supports Arsenal to do the accountant thing and you sit down and say, we have this much money, we sold Smith Rowe with this much money? Bro, come on, have some shame. We are trying to say Arsenal should sign a striker. Me and Husam are trying to say Arsenal should sign a striker to compete, to push Liverpool. And you're saying, no, Mo should not be in charge of Arsenal. Yeah, I'm going to have some shame. Well, I'm tired of these people that think I'm saying this for banter, bro. I'm tired, bro. Well, I'm tired. Here you go, because you don't just spend to spend. Bro, I'm not going to respond to you again. I'm just going to tell you one more thing. But you know you need a striker, right? And stop being an accountant, bro. Just go and sign a striker. Who cares if it's a 10 million extra, bro? It's weird, bro. Football fans have become this accountant thing that everyone just wants to yes man. He's a yes man, bro. He's a yes man. He's like, the club told me that we don't have the money to spend. So I have to go on shows and tell people that we don't have money. We don't have 10 million to spend more. We are waiting for Cisco in the summer. The club, the PR, the guys that know more than you guys are knowing nothing on YouTube. The club told me that we're waiting for the right man in the summer. And if the right man doesn't come, we shouldn't sign anyone. Have some shame.
Yeah, it's sometimes
crazy,
sometimes the accounting stuff is right, you know. If somebody says,
"Why don't Terry's gonna defend him?" No.
Here we go.
No.
Stop this bullshit.
If somebody said Man United could spend 300 million this January, they're liars. We can't. We are very close we're close to the PSR stuff. But there are certain clubs like Arsenal whose finances, based on what's public and what we read, when you see a brief going, oh, they're worried about PSR. It's like, no, you're nowhere fucking near it. That's when I get frustrated, is people use the complicated stuff to try and murky the waters. Some clubs have issues. Arsenal don't, you know, and this is why, for me, the only time this January makes any real sense is if in the summer they go bang 150 million on Isak, and then Isak comes in and scores all comps, 40 goals a season for the next 3 years, and they keep winning trophies. We as football fans will forget about the January, by and large. But if they end up in the summer buying, I don't know, Cunha for 8 million less than they could have got him now, they go and end up buying Duran for 10 million less than they could get him for now, then I'll just look at it and go, that's just bullshit, because they could have got you over the line to you know, win a Champions League. You know, who knows what's going to happen with Liverpool? Imagine you're not ready to pounce. It is strange. I wouldn't be defending it. Like, again, I say the same thing about Arsenal's board as I said about Chelsea's. Different scenarios, but I think they've let the Arsenal fans down so far this January. They haven't done enough. I think there are options available. I don't buy into this bullshit that it's really hard and they can't do anything. Arsenal have money. They're in the title race. They're doing well in the Champions League. There are targets that they could have gone and got. We've seen City do it with Mamouche as an example. There are options out there that could have improved their attack, could have brought them more goals. And I think anybody, Tel, go Arsenal and win nothing. Well, this is the thing. This is the irony, right? Terry, you don't call Arsenal out enough. I call them out and say they're lessening their chances of winning if they don't spend. If they spent, they've got more of a chance. But they wouldn't win anyway. Well, then you can't call them an unambitious club if they don't spend. See, Jamie, that's where the banter dies. You can't say if they spend hundreds of millions, they won't win anything. And they're a shit unserious club if they don't spend anything. Which one is it? The banter don't work if you say both things, Jamie. Pick one.
Think Rashford signs for Arsenal?
Yeah,
do you know what? Part of me, I don't want it to happen because, you know, I like Rashford. I think if he gets somewhere and he settles quick, he could do very well. But part of me would like to see it happen purely for the carnage. Purely for the carnage of watching the meltdowns from just sitting back and going, sitting on Twitter for a few hours, just reading tweets would be entertainment. Just watching the meltdown would be a thing of beauty, man.
I don't think it can happen. Logically speaking, they have to terminate Neto's contract to be able to loan Marcus Rashford because they won't buy Marcus Rashford. Yeah,
you are right. Yeah,
they
can't loan him.
I don't think that is... I want to see it because I think if Arsenal sign Marcus Rashford, Like they turn into the resurrection club. Like anyone that wants to, any failed. By the way, if you're a
Darwin
YouTuber,
Nunes, please.
bro, if you're a failed YouTuber, maybe sign for Arsenal as well. Maybe they can resurrect your career as well.
A lot of them. There's a lot of them.
No, bro.
Thoughts on Villa briefing Ornstein that they have 2 elite strikers and 1 has to go. No need for 2 strikers. Weird. I mean, they may have briefed him. It could also come, it could be a combination of briefs, but I wouldn't say it's weird. Maybe they want to bring some players in and they need, everyone was saying, oh, they're close to their PSR themselves. So maybe they want a player that they think can elevate them. Maybe, let's just paint a picture, and this is all if, buts, and maybes. Maybe Duran's a problem. They want to raise some money for him and then go and get João Felix, who they've been linked to as an example. So Villa might brief it to try and force it along. I wouldn't say it's weird, but yeah, Duran got an attitude problem.
By the way, Sadiq, that means one thing, that Duran's value now went down, because now if the club briefed, they've only seen that they have to get rid of one, they put themselves in a position like someone has to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Believe it or not.
But what they say is 2 elite strikers. Can't wait for the next article. Arsenal flirting with the idea of Duran. Arsenal seducing the agent. Do you know what I really love, right? Journalists write like this now and it annoys people. But they write like it because when the world changes and something they've said doesn't come to fruition, they get attacked. So they've created a language that they hope doesn't get them attacked, but they're now being attacked for it. And I kind of like it in one breath and I find it hilarious on the other. It's, what have you heard? Well, I heard today that Arsenal leading the race for a player and the player really likes him and the deal could get done. Love this journalist. He's brilliant. 4 or 5 days go by. The player's had his head turned by Chelsea. So nothing that first journalist said was wrong. He then goes, Chelsea, you're a fucking lying bastard telling us we were leading the race. Well, they were at the time. So now journalists have created this language, which is all just flirting, nearing, could do, we're here. And for us, you have to read between the lines. My favorite one is they used to just say, yeah, the players agreed to join. He likes the terms. Now it's personal terms will not be an issue. And I always think, well, it's the same fucking thing. But also, they can agree personal terms with 5 different clubs. And then at the end of it, go, I'm happy with all the terms. And then at the end of it, go, well, I'm going to go to them instead. We're weird as fans. I think we've kind of ruined the transfer market a bit. I used to love it growing up. I used to love it as an adult, sitting there. And we do it very well, I think, on the show. The if, buts, and maybes. Will this work? Where will he fit? Who do you think's going to get him? I think some football fans have become so boring about it. Like, oh, until he's holding the shirt, I don't want to speak about it. Well, then don't be in the chat. Go somewhere else. I don't know why you're here. That's not my community. It's generally like other communities that barge in. I just find it very strange.
Ornstein does that a lot with Liverpool specifically. I think it's after like the Zubimendi thing. That's why if you notice when he did the Kvaratskhelia thing, he did it very carefully and slowly. Like, oh yeah, by the way, they're just inquiring. It might, like, it just, there's 100 caveats in case that doesn't happen.
Yeah, just to let you know, Carl, we spoke about this about 10 minutes ago. Like, a lot of people are spamming it. We spoke about it about 10 minutes ago when it came out. No, I agree, and I just don't hold. Like, I don't look at a journalist and go, "You're an arsehole," because the story that you spoke about doesn't end up happening because they're not the ones doing the deal. They're just reporting on the here and the now. I just don't understand the backlash people have or the anger people have towards transfer stories. I'm just not quite. They say why, but it doesn't. All the rationale I hear for it doesn't make me understand why you're angry about it. It's kind of weird to me personally. I really enjoy. I enjoy it. I love it. I love the stories. And every year or two, I don't do it as much because there's not many around anymore. But I used to pick every summer. I'd pick an in the know that everyone loved. Do you remember for a few years there'd always been in the know that everyone said was brilliant, incredible. So I'd talk about some of their stories. I'd openly say in the videos, let's see if they come to fruition. And I used to enjoy it. I thought it was fun. Some people just take it far too fucking seriously.
I got into the world of in the know. I realized that if you want to be in the know, you're gonna be in the world of the in the don't know as well. So people expect you to be in the know all the time, and it's a lot more difficult than you think because there are certain connections that might leave the club. There are certain people that you might know that might just not be there anymore, and then you're in trouble. So you have to start waffling, man.
No, listen, I understand. I think for me, it's the amount of people I see on this channel, AFTV, others that will go, hang on, Robbie. Last week you said that Arsenal was signing Duran. Now they haven't. No, Robbie just reacted to an article that came out, and it works in reverse. I see people that do the transfers from a sort of negative point of view. This ain't happening. This won't happen. And a lot of them they say won't happen do. It's just, it's fans talking football. I don't understand why everyone's so pressed about it. We're not trying to be the mainstream media. We're just trying to have a conversation about what we're reading. JB says, I got to admit, Terry buried me. I got cooked. You know, Jamie, it's all fun and games. And I know that Maradon's like, no, Terry, banter is just banter, but it isn't. Banter, and I'm just trying to help you in life. Like, banter works when you go in a certain direction and stick to it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's you got to do it right. Terry is begging for Arsenal to sign anyone at this point. If that is what you've heard through me speaking, that's your interpretation, then Clive, the toxic fan, you're entitled to believe that. I'm not going to challenge you. Does not set me at all.
Clive.
Yeah. Look, I want to thank everyone that's tuned into the show today. We didn't even get through all the topics, but that's the nature of these shows. They're unlike the mainstream.
We're beating Eindhoven.
Unlike what the media tried to do to me this morning on the BBC, we don't give the guys a script and tell them what they have to say.
Me and more, not yes men either. So
no, that's very true. Very, very true. We're back later today for the match reaction. After the Champions League games. This is going to redirect you now to Mo's channel. So go and support Mo. Go and subscribe over there, please, people. Go and get that done. Until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.